because joining me now is the chair of the Black Caucus, Congressman Stephen Horsford, Democrat of Nevada. Congressman, Mr. Chairman, the Congressional Black Caucus has announced last week Black Americans are being attacked in various ways nationwide, with Republicans leading the efforts. You spoke at the State of Black America press event held at the Capitol. You spoke at the March on Washington. Recent events in several GOP-led state legislatures have intensified your concerns, you said. Please elaborate.
Well, Reverend Sharpton, it's great to be with you, and congratulations to you and to the King family for the continuation march, the 60th anniversary March on Washington last Saturday. It was definitely the impetus for the work that continues, and with your leadership and the leadership of so many other civil rights leaders, we are going to realize Dr. King's dream. As you know, the attacks on everything from our democracy to women's rights to make healthcare decisions about their own bodies, to the attacks on Blackness, with the latest from Ed Blum and his alliance dealing with the lawsuit against the Fearless Fund, which is a venture capital fund to support Black women entrepreneurs. This is the latest attack, attacking Black business people who are trying to create wealth for themselves and their families and the Black community, despite the fact that only 1% of that funding for venture capital is actually with Black businesses and Black venture capital firms. So it's very alarming because these attacks are coordinated, they're well-funded, and clearly Ed Blum is behind it. He's been behind the latest lawsuits on affirmative action. He was behind the Roe versus Wade attacks. And so we have to call it out the way it is. We have to say who is impeding our progress in this moment. But we are not going back. We're not going to be silent. And we're going to continue to advance a legislative agenda this Congress. And
as we were marching last Saturday, you had the racial killings in Jacksonville, Florida. You have, as you say, Ed Blum. I understand Stephen Miller's part of that has declared war in terms of not only what they won a Supreme Court decision in terms of college admissions, but on businesses and law firms, saying you can't have programs specifically to deal with having Blacks and people of color elevated or given contracts. And then yesterday on Politics Nation, right here on this show, we had GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. I want you to listen as he answered when I asked him about affirmative action and diversity programs. Listen to this.
I want to make sure kids aren't trapped in the ghetto of a zip code that they happen to be born in. To the contrary, I think every parent deserves to have the opportunity to send their kids to the best possible school. That's why I favor radical school choice in this country. I think it's a mystery, Reverend Sharpton. The very people who will wax eloquent about systemic racism are also the ones who are opposed to educational mobility. That's why I've said shut down the U.S. Department of Education. Use that $80 billion. Put it in the hands of parents so they can actually send their kids to that best possible school they can.
And I came back in and said, I asked you about affirmative action and I asked you about business and Bloom and them coming. He pivoted over to talk about charter schools and education. Which not only says a lot about how he tries to duck and weave, and I wouldn't let him do it on this show, but it also shows they're trying to build straw men up rather than deal with the issues. And one of the things I've seen the Congressional Caucus do under your leadership is try to focus on exact issues, legislation, and policy.
Well, your interview was spot on. I wish that the candidate would just really get out of the way because he's the one who is stoking these racial tensions in our country. For him to make comparisons to members of Congress, our own Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, and the KKK is outrageous, it's irresponsible, and it's dangerous. It's the kind of rhetoric that led to the mass shooting in Jacksonville, Florida, which Governor DeSantis helped stoke with his rhetoric. But as you said, while we fight these attacks on the extreme right, we also have to put forward an affirmative agenda to help lift up Black America. Because when we lift up Black America, we lift up everyone. And so, as you know, we have the Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative policy conference coming up in Washington, D.C., starting September 20th through the 24th. During that conference, we're going to position not only democracy and race, but economic mobility and wealth creation. At a time when Black people are under attack, we want to talk about ways to advance wages, work, and wealth. And with partnerships with the Black Economic Alliance, with the work that the National Urban League and the National Action Network are doing under your leadership, we can put forward an affirmative agenda that moves Black America forward through jobs, better paying jobs, through small business creation, and through wealth creation for Black families and Black communities.
Now, this past Monday, together with the King family and other civil rights leaders, I went to meet with President Biden and Vice President Harris at the White House on the day of the actual day of the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. Kennedy met with March leaders 60 years ago when President Biden and Vice President Harris met with March organizers 60 years later in that tradition. You spoke at the march, of course. I was there, obviously, as the head of National Action Network. And I called on President Biden to hold the next hate summit, the Summit on Hate Crimes that we did, the first one at the White House last summer. Let's hold it in Florida after the recent shooting there that killed 3 innocent Blacks. And in fact, today I heard and saw that there was a rally of neo-Nazis in Orlando on yesterday. Andrea Waters-King called me and talked about that early this morning. How ready is the Black Caucus to push on legislation on this matter of hate crimes and enforcing of hate crimes?
Well, look, the Proud Boys and groups like them have been named by Homeland Security as the single biggest threat to domestic security. And they are a domestic terrorist organization. You've seen the indictments that have come down and the latest charges that have been made, as well as the sentencing. But specifically as it pertains to Florida, here you have Governor DeSantis, the same governor who has tried to erode Black history, to try to rewrite Black history, to try to claim that slavery was somehow some kind of a work program that provided benefits to enslaved people. And then he wants to show up at the candlelight vigil for the families and the community that was mourning the very deaths of the individuals because of a racist attack on their community by a white supremacist. So the Congressional Black Caucus has been and will continue to fight to make sure that those who are responsible for these attacks, whether it's on our democracy or whether it's on our Blackness, are held accountable. And we don't care who they are, including the former president of the United States. They must be held accountable.
All right, I'm going to have to leave it there. I'm out of time, but thank you, and thank you for all you are doing, Congressman Stephen Horsford, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus.